Look closely at the faces around you. Something is changing. Not in one place, not in one country. Everywhere, across the United States, across the United Kingdom, a new facial pattern is emerging. And once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. People call it Ozempic Face, but that name is misleading because this is not just about weight loss, it's about speed. Right now, a massive biological shift is underway. In the United States, around 10 million people are currently using GLP-1 medications, roughly 12% of all adults. Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, the numbers are no longer small. They are structural across the UK. The same wave is happening. Millions of people are now in the system, some through clinics, but many through private online providers. Fast access, minimal oversight, maximum demand. And when change happens at this scale, something unusual starts to happen. It starts to reshape itself, and the face is the first place it shows. But there's another layer to this, a cultural one. Look at social media right now. Something strange is happening in the comments. Weight loss is no longer automatically praised. It is questioned. A sharper jawline, a thinner frame, a more defined face, and instantly, the speculation begins. Did they do it naturally, or is it Ozempic? We've entered a new psychological climate where transformation is no longer trusted, where every change becomes evidence, and every face becomes a case file. The internet is no longer just watching, it is investigating, searching for clues, reading structure, studying angles, trying to decode the body like data. But that's only the surface level, because most people are still asking the wrong question. They think this is a skin story or a fat story. It isn't. It's a structural story. Let's look at the maxilla, the central support structure of the mid-face. Today we go one level deeper, not into what is changing, but into how fast it is changing, because when facial volume disappears too quickly, the system stops adapting normally and starts responding in a completely different way. Not evolution, not aging, but compression. And what that produces, what people are now calling Ozempic face. To understand what's really happening to the human face under this kind of rapid change, we start with a real case, a public one. Pop star Robbie Williams, he has spoken openly about his weight loss journey, using GLP-1 medications like Mounjaro. For years, his body was under constant public scrutiny, changing and shrinking, and when the transformation finally completed, people saw it as a success story. But something else was happening underneath, something he later hinted at himself. The change didn't feel neutral, it didn't feel gradual, it felt extreme, even unsettling. He described physical side effects, including severe changes to his vision. And that raises a serious question. What happens to the human system when change happens too fast for the body to stabilize? Because the face didn't just lose weight, it reorganized itself in a very short period of time. But to understand why that looks so dramatic, we need to leave personality and public stories behind and go into structure, pure structure. Most people think facial aging is simple. They think the face is one soft mass, that it slowly sags downward over time because of gravity. That idea is outdated. Modern craniofacial mapping shows something very different. The face is not one structure. It is a network, highly compartmentalized, divided into tightly separated fat chambers, each one behaving differently, each one responding differently. And sitting at the center of this system is a critical layer, not visible but essential. The superficial fat system, more specifically, the superficial fat pad matrix. And within that system, one region dominates facial appearance more than the rest. The mid-cheek region, the Malar Fat Pad. In a youthful face, this structure acts like architectural padding. It sits over the cheekbone. It holds forward projection. It smooths the transition between eye and cheek. It creates what we recognize as facial harmony, that soft triangular balance. But under GLP-1-induced rapid weight loss, something changes fundamentally, not just reduction, but acceleration. Because these fat pads are metabolically active, they respond first, and they respond fast. Sometimes within weeks, the Malar Fat Pad begins to deflate, not evenly, not symmetrically, but rapidly, like air escaping from a sealed chamber. And as that volume disappears, the internal support structure collapses. The fibrous septa that once held shape no longer have tension, so they relax, they fold, they drop. And what follows is visually dramatic. The smooth transition between under eye and cheek disappears, the mid-face flattens, the cheek loses forward projection, and the nasolabial fold deepens almost abruptly. This is not just fat loss, this is a breakdown in facial geometry, the collapse of a structural support zone. And that is why the change appears so unnatural. Because it is not gradual aging, it is compressed transformation, a system losing volume faster than it can reorganize itself. And what most people see as simple weight loss is actually a shift in facial architecture itself, with the mid-face now flattened and the upper eye and temple support collapsing inward. Gravity takes over completely, not slowly, not evenly, but decisively. This is the final phase, what surgeons often describe as a lower face avalanche. Because once the upper structure loses volume, everything below it begins to move downward. If you look closely, this is where the jawline starts to disappear, not by shrinking, but by dissolving into the neck. A line that was sharp just months ago becomes blurred. soft, heavy. But to understand why the skin can no longer resist gravity, we have to go deeper again, past fat, past volume, into the actual suspension system of the face. There's a hidden layer suspended between your skin and your muscles, a continuous sheet of connective tissue, the SMAS, air superficial muscular aponeurotic system. Think of it like a biological trampoline, tightly stretched, anchored at multiple points, held in position by fibrous retaining ligaments. In a stable face, this system is under constant tension, upward tension, outward tension, maintained by what sits beneath it. Fat, structured fat pads, they don't just fill space, they maintain pressure. They keep the entire system lifted. But when those fat pads vanish too quickly, that internal pressure disappears, and the system loses its tension state. Instantly, the SMAS stops behaving like a tight structure and starts behaving like loose fabric, a slack sheet without support. Now the shift begins without internal volume pushing outward. The connective tissue begins to drop. It no longer stays suspended. It starts sliding downward, following gravity, guided by anatomy, and it moves over fixed points in the face, like retaining ligaments, until it accumulates at the lowest structural boundary, the jawline. This is where jowls form, not as a separate event, but as the endpoint of a collapse sequence. The tissue folds at bunches. It settles at the mandible, and the once defined jaw angle disappears completely. From the outside, it looks sudden, but structurally it is the final expression of a system that has lost its internal scaffolding. And for many people experiencing rapid GLP-1 weight loss, this is the moment they recognize something irreversible has changed. Not just weight, not just fat, but facial architecture itself.